My fake college roommate claimed to be the daughter of the richest billionaire in New York. Surrounded by a swarm of sycophants, she carried herself with arrogance, soaking in their flattery like a queen accepting tribute. One night, the son of a notorious crime boss made the mistake of offending her. She didn't just humiliate him, she forced him to kneel and lick her shoes, recording every second of it. The video spread like wildfire across social media, turning his shame into a public spectacle. Everyone was in awe of her power. Everyone believed she was untouchable. But there was just one problem. New York's richest billionaire has only one daughter, and that's me. The first time I saw Olivia Brooks was on move-in day at New York Prestige University, NYPU. I had chosen to arrive quietly without the usual fleet of black SUVs and bodyguards that my family insisted on. Instead, I had my driver drop me off a few blocks away, rolling my custom-made Louis Vuitton suitcase across the cobblestone paths leading to the freshman dorms. It was my way of avoiding attention, or at least that had been the plan. The moment I stepped inside Riverside Hall, the largest dorm on campus, I was met with a scene straight out of a teenage soap opera. A crowd of students, mostly girls, had gathered in one of the suites, their voices filled with excitement. At the center of it all was Olivia Brooks, lounging casually on a plush designer throw, her long platinum blonde hair cascading down her back. She wore a Chanel tweed blazer, paired with diamond-studded heels that seemed excessive for a move-in day. "Olivia, this suitcase is gorgeous. Is it Heiress?" one of the girls gasped, running her fingers over the leather handle. Olivia gave a modest smile, the kind that was meant to seem humble but wasn't. "Oh, this? My dad always tells me to keep a low profile, so I only picked something simple from this year's showroom collection." The group around her swooned. I rolled my eyes. I had seen this act before. Too many times, in fact. Girls like Olivia always wanted to be at the top of the social food chain, and the best way to do that was to pretend they were born at the top. Still, I wouldn't have cared much if she had just been another rich girl trying to impress her new friends. But there was something about her tone, something that didn't sit right with me. "Excuse me," I said, pushing past the crowd as I reached for the empty bed on the other side of the room. For the first time, Olivia looked at me. Her gaze flickered over my black leather suitcase, her lips curling slightly. "Oh, wow, your luggage looks unique." The way she said it made it sound like an insult. One of her followers, a brunette with oversized designer sunglasses perched on her head, giggled. "It looks just like one my cousin sells at the outlet. So trendy." The group laughed. I stayed silent, my fingers tightening around the handle of my suitcase. I recognized the Heiress carry-on sitting on Olivia's bed. More specifically, I recognized the small ink stain on the embossed logo, the same one my best friend had drawn as a prank at a party last summer. It was a fake, a knockoff that had been passed around as a joke before being discarded. And now it was sitting proudly in my dorm room, a fake heiress with a fake bag. Olivia Brooks wasn't just a liar, she had taken the wrong script for her life. If there was one thing Olivia Brooks excelled at, it was playing the role of a billionaire's daughter. By the end of the first week at New York Prestige University, she had cemented herself as the queen bee of the freshman class. It wasn't just the way she dressed, always in designer labels, always styled to perfection, but the way she carried herself. Confidence, entitlement, effortless charm, and the way people believed her. So when Olivia announced she was hosting an exclusive welcome party at a luxury rooftop venue in Manhattan, no one questioned it. "It's invitation only," she had said, flashing a coy smile. "I don't want just anyone showing up." The entire student body buzzed with anticipation. After all, who wouldn't want to attend a party thrown by the daughter of one of the wealthiest men in the country? The event was held at the Aurelia, a high-rise rooftop lounge known for its strict guest list and $500 cocktails. It was the kind of place where celebrities and CEOs closed deals over champagne. And tonight, it belonged to Olivia Brooks. Or so she claimed. The moment I stepped out of the elevator, I was met with a scene straight out of a Vanity Fair cover story. Golden chandeliers cast a soft glow over the room. Waiters in crisp white uniforms glided through the crowd with trays of champagne, and a live string quartet played in the background. Olivia stood at the center of it all, dressed in an Alexander McQueen evening gown, laughing effortlessly as she entertained a group of upperclassmen. I had to give her credit. She knew how to look the part. "You made it!" Olivia turned to me with a dazzling smile, as if she were the hostess of a Met Gala event. "Wouldn't miss it," I replied smoothly, accepting a flute of champagne from a passing waiter. A few feet away, I overheard a conversation between two students. "I heard her dad owns a stake in half the buildings on Fifth Avenue," one of them whispered. "Yeah, and apparently Brooks Enterprises just closed a $2 billion tech merger last month." I suppressed a smirk. That was news to me, because the real Brooks Enterprises, the one owned by the real billionaire, had only one daughter. And that was me. As the night went on, Olivia played the role of Heiress effortlessly. She accepted compliments with a graceful nod, dropped names of designers and CEOs like they were personal friends, and let her admirers fawn over her limited edition Hermes Birkin bag, one she claimed was a custom order straight from Paris. Only 5 of these were made, she told a group of enthralled girls, running a manicured finger over the leather. My dad had to pull some serious strings to get me one. I took a sip of champagne, watching from the sidelines. The bag was gorgeous, no doubt, but there was one small problem. It was fake. I recognized it instantly. The stitching was too loose, the leather had the wrong texture, and the serial number, which I caught a glimpse of when she casually flipped the flap open, didn't match the formatting of authentic Hermes pieces. I knew this because I owned the real one. A week ago, my father had gifted me the exact same model for my birthday, one of only 5 in existence, and I had seen all 5 bags in person when I visited the private Hermes showroom, which meant the one in Olivia's hands was a counterfeit. I felt a slow, familiar amusement bubbling up inside me. She really had no idea who she was up against. For the rest of the evening, I observed Olivia carefully, the way she dodged specific questions about her family's business, the way she let people assume things without ever directly confirming them. She wasn't lying outright. She was letting everyone else lie for her. And it was working. By the time I left the party, Olivia Brooks was no longer just another freshman. She was the campus elite, the untouchable socialite, the heir to an empire, the girl everyone wanted to be. I didn't confront her that night. No, that would have been too easy, because the thing about liars, they always slip up eventually, and I was going to be there when she did. The thing about liars, eventually, they overplay their hand. For weeks, Olivia Brooks had lived in her carefully crafted illusion. She had built her empire of deception with designer labels, extravagant parties, and just enough half-truths to make people believe she was untouchable. And she might have gotten away with it if she hadn't been so greedy. At New York Prestige University, philanthropy was just another form of social currency. The annual NYPU Charity Gala was the biggest fundraising event of the semester, attended by students, faculty, and elite alumni. It was a chance for young socialites to flash their wealth under the guise of generosity. Sponsoring the event meant power, influence, and prestige. So when Olivia publicly announced that Brooks Enterprises would be the event's primary sponsor, no one questioned it. "I spoke with my father last night," Olivia had said at a student council meeting, crossing her legs elegantly. "He's more than happy to donate $500,000 to this year's gala." The room had erupted into murmurs of admiration. The president of the student council, a senior named Andrew Whitmore, nearly fell over himself thanking her. "That's incredible, Olivia," he gushed. "With that kind of funding, We can expand our scholarship programs, renovate the community center. This changes everything." Olivia just smiled demurely, basking in the praise. I leaned back in my seat, watching. She had just made her first fatal mistake. It didn't take much to verify a corporate donation. A simple phone call to the Brooks Enterprises finance department should have confirmed the sponsorship. So 2 days later, I made the call myself. "Hi, this is Sophia Carter," I said smoothly, my voice professional. "I'm assisting with the NYPU charity gala, and I wanted to confirm the $500,000 donation made by your company." There was a brief silence on the other end. "Excuse me?" The woman's voice was confused. "The donation Olivia Brooks arranged," I clarified. "She said it was already approved by your executives." Another pause. "I'm sorry, miss, but we have no record of any such donation." I smiled. "That's what I thought." "Are you certain?" I pressed, just to be sure. "It was supposed to come from your philanthropy division." "Miss Carter, I handle all corporate donations. If such a transaction existed, I would know. And as far as I'm aware, we don't have an Olivia Brooks employed here." Checkmate. The cracks in Olivia's facade began to show almost immediately. By the end of the week, the student council had still not received any confirmation of the donation. Olivia, sensing the growing tension, switched tactics. "My father's traveling in Europe," she told Andrew when he pressed her. "He authorized the funds, but you know how these big corporations work. The paperwork takes time." At first that excuse worked. Then a week passed, then 2, and still no money arrived. Andrew's excitement had turned into nervous impatience. "Olivia, the gala is 3 weeks away," he reminded her one evening after class. "We need that funding to finalize our budget. Is there someone else at Brooks Enterprises we can speak to?" I was standing a few feet away, pretending not to listen. I saw the exact moment Olivia realized she had trapped herself. Her grip tightened around her purse. Her lips parted slightly before she forced a breezy laugh. "Oh, I wouldn't worry. I'll handle it. Trust me, my father will make sure everything is taken care of." She was buying time. She was scrambling, and I was enjoying every second of it. I had no intention of exposing Olivia outright. That would be too easy. Instead, I wanted her to expose herself. So I made one small move. I reached out to my father's corporate network and arranged for a real billionaire to make a public donation. But not to the student council. To me. A few days later, I casually mentioned at lunch that my father's company was planning a surprise sponsorship for the gala. Nothing too flashy, just a 7-figure donation to support underprivileged students. Word spread like wildfire. By the end of the day, Andrew had heard. By the end of the week, Olivia had 2. And suddenly, her $500,000 lie didn't seem quite so impressive anymore. I waited, letting the pressure build. How long could Olivia pretend before her house of cards collapsed? I had a feeling I was about to find out. Olivia Brooks had spent weeks spinning her web of lies. She had gone from a freshman socialite to an untouchable campus elite. She had fooled the student body, the faculty, and even some of the wealthiest alumni. But no matter how high she climbed, the truth was always waiting beneath her feet, ready to pull her down. And I was going to make sure it happened in front of the right people. After the fundraising scandal, which Olivia had barely managed to wriggle out of with vague excuses, she did what all good con artists do. She doubled down. One evening, as I was scrolling through my inbox, an email from the NYPU Business Society popped up. "You're invited. The Future of Global Business, an exclusive networking soiree hosted by Olivia Brooks." I nearly laughed. Olivia wasn't just pretending to be wealthy anymore. She was acting as if she had actual power. The event was set to take place at the Sterling Club, a private venue in Manhattan, known for hosting CEOs and Fortune 500 executives. The guest list included top-tier business leaders, NYPU faculty, and elite students, all handpicked by Olivia herself. It was bold, reckless, even, and it was exactly what I had been waiting for. On the night of the event, I arrived fashionably late. The Sterling Club was as opulent as ever. Gold-trimmed architecture, crystal chandeliers, and waiters moving silently through the room with trays of champagne. But what truly caught my attention was Olivia herself. She stood near the center of the room, surrounded by young entrepreneurs and business majors, her laughter melodic and effortless. She was wearing a stunning Dior cocktail dress, her posture radiating confidence. She looked like she belonged. But there was one problem. None of the real power players in the room were talking to her. The actual executives, men and women who had built empires, stood in small clusters engaged in deep discussions about market trends, acquisitions, and global finance. Olivia, meanwhile, was entertaining the students, offering vague business advice and name-dropping people she had never actually met. I smirked. She was still playing the role of heiress. But tonight, she was in a room full of people who could tell the difference. I watched Olivia from a distance, waiting for my moment. When the time was right, I approached her group, smoothly inserting myself into the conversation. "Fascinating discussion," I said with a polite smile. "Olivia, I heard Brooks Enterprises has been expanding into international markets. How has that impacted your father's domestic holdings?" For a split second, just a split second, her mask cracked. She hadn't expected me to speak the language of billionaires, but she recovered quickly, flipping her hair over her shoulder with a confident laugh. "Oh, you know how it is. Mergers, acquisitions, lots of moving parts. My father's been handling most of it personally." A vague, safe answer. But I wasn't finished. "That's interesting," I mused, "because I read that Brooks Enterprises has been struggling to finalize their expansion deal with Falcon Tech. Something about delayed regulatory approvals. I'm sure your father must be incredibly frustrated with the negotiations." Silence. I could see it. The way her fingers tightened around her champagne flute, the way her breathing hitched for just a second. Because she had no idea what I was talking about. If she were really the daughter of Brooks Enterprises' CEO, she would have known. I didn't give her time to recover. Before she could come up with another excuse, a voice spoke from behind me. "Excuse me." A deep, authoritative tone cut through the conversation. "Did I hear someone mention Brooks Enterprises?" I turned. Standing there was Daniel Sterling, CEO of Sterling Financial Group, one of the biggest investment firms in the country. More importantly, he was a longtime business associate of my father, and someone who would definitely know the truth. The room went completely still. Olivia's smile faltered. "Yes," she said quickly, straightening her posture. "I was just discussing our international expansions." Daniel Sterling raised an eyebrow. "Our?" Olivia's face lost a shade of color. "Oh, I meant my father's. You know, Brooks Enterprises." Sterling's expression didn't change. "Funny," he said, sipping his whiskey. "Because I just had dinner with Charles Brooks and his family 2 weeks ago, and as far as I know, he has only one daughter." He turned to look directly at me. "Sophia, right?" A collective gasp went through the crowd. I could see the panic in Olivia's eyes, the way her carefully built empire of lies began to crumble right in front of her. People started whispering. "Wait, what? She's not his daughter? Then who the hell is she?" For the first time since she had stepped foot on this campus, Olivia Brooks had no way out. The rest of the night was a slow, painful unraveling for Olivia. Executives avoided her. Students whispered about her behind her back. And when the event ended, she left without saying goodbye. By morning, the rumors had spread like wildfire. People were asking questions, digging into her past, trying to find out who Olivia Brooks really was. And just like that, her carefully constructed world began to fall apart. This was only the beginning, because once a liar is exposed, the only thing left for them to do is fall. The higher you climb, the harder you fall. For weeks, Olivia Brooks had carefully maintained her illusion of wealth and power. Even after the networking disaster, she refused to back down. She avoided questions, brushed off rumors, and acted as if nothing had changed. But there was one thing she couldn't escape: the university gala. It was the biggest event of the semester, attended by business moguls, high-profile alumni, and the university's most promising students. And this year, Olivia had been chosen to give the keynote speech as the school's shining example of young business excellence, her final performance. And I had the perfect surprise waiting for her. The ballroom at the New York Prestige University Alumni Hall was packed with over 1,000 of the most influential people in the city. Crystal chandeliers bathed the room in golden light. Soft classical music played in the background, and servers weaved between guests carrying glasses of champagne. At the center of it all, Olivia Brooks stood poised, dressed in an elegant navy blue gown, her blonde curls cascading down her back. To the untrained eye, she looked untouchable, confident, powerful, every bit the heiress she pretended to be. But I saw the tension in her shoulders, the flicker of uncertainty in her expression as she scanned the crowd, no doubt wondering if the rumors about her were finally catching up. And then the guest of honor arrived, James Carter, my father, the real billionaire in the room. The moment he stepped through the grand entrance, the energy shifted. People turned, whispers spread like wildfire. Even the chancellor of NYPU personally rushed forward to greet him. James Carter was a man who rarely attended public events, but when he did, he commanded the room. And Olivia, she looked like she was about to faint. I sipped my champagne, waiting. The show was just beginning. Good evening, everyone. Olivia's voice rang through the ballroom as she took the stage. She smiled, as if nothing was wrong, as if she still held control. It is an honor to stand before you tonight as a representative of NYPU's future business leaders. I'd like to thank my father, Charles Brooks, for always inspiring me to push boundaries and that's enough. The voice cut through the room like a blade. My father's voice. Gasps rippled through the crowd as James Carter stood up from his seat, adjusting the cuff of his designer suit. Olivia froze, her face draining of color. "You've been speaking for quite a while, Miss Brooks," he continued, his tone calm but firm. "Now I think it's time for someone else to speak." A murmur of confusion spread through the room. The chancellor, clearly nervous, stepped forward. "Mr. Carter, But my father held up a hand, silencing him effortlessly. His sharp gaze landed on Olivia, who was gripping the podium so tightly her knuckles turned white. "You keep calling yourself the daughter of Charles Brooks," he said, "the heiress to Brooks Enterprises." A heavy pause. "But I had dinner with Charles and his wife just last week, and unless something has drastically changed, they still have only one daughter, and that's not you." The silence that followed was absolute, and then chaos. "Wait, what? She's not his daughter. Then who the hell is she?" The whispers exploded into a frenzy of voices. Students, faculty, and alumni all turned to Olivia, demanding an answer. I watched as her perfect composure shattered. That's not, you don't understand," Olivia stammered, eyes darting around, searching for an escape. But there was none. "Is this true?" The chancellor's voice was sharp, cutting through the noise. Of course, Olivia let out a shaky laugh. "I mean, he's obviously mistaken." James Carter simply raised an eyebrow. "Mistaken? Are you saying I don't know my own business partners?" More gasps. And then the final blow. A deep voice rumbled from the side of the ballroom. "She's lying." I turned my head slightly, just in time to see Daniel Sterling, CEO of Sterling Financial Group, stepping forward. "I tried giving her the benefit of the doubt at my event last week," he said coolly, "but after a quick background check, I found no records of an Olivia Brooks connected to the Brooks family." The final nail in the coffin. All eyes were on Olivia now. She looked trapped, because she was, and then, as if on cue, her followers turned against her. "Olivia, is this true?" A girl from the business society asked hesitantly. A senior named Marcus, who had practically worshipped her, stepped forward. "You told us you were a Brooks, that your father was donating millions. You lied to all of us? Another voice accused. The panic in Olivia's eyes was unmistakable now. No, you don't understand. Then explain, I said, stepping forward. The room fell silent again as I met her eyes. I could see it, the desperation, the terror, the realization that this was the end. For the first time in weeks, Olivia Brooks had no answer, no excuse, no way out, just the weight of her own lies collapsing in on her. By the time the gala ended, Olivia Brooks was nowhere to be seen. She had disappeared the moment she stepped off the stage, humiliated, exposed, and utterly ruined. By morning, the entire school knew the truth. Her so-called friends avoided her. Her carefully built reputation crumbled overnight. She tried to deny it at first, of course, but with James Carter, Daniel Sterling, and half of New York's business elite confirming her fraud, there was no coming back from this. The girl who had spent months fooling the world had finally been unmasked, and she had done it all to herself. The game was over. Olivia Brooks had spent months building an empire of lies. She had walked the halls of New York prestige university like royalty, deceived some of the most powerful people in the city, and convinced an entire student body that she was one of them, elite, untouchable, a true heiress. But now she was nothing. By the morning after the gala, Olivia Brooks was officially a ghost. The whispers started the moment she stepped onto campus. Did you hear? She's not actually a Brooks. I knew something was off about her. Wait, wasn't she supposed to donate $500,000? Where's the money? She had gone from the most admired girl on campus to the most despised. The student council wasted no time revoking every invitation she had been given. No more exclusive events, no more VIP acts, no more networking opportunities. By noon, an official university investigation had been launched into her fraudulent claims. Faculty members were demanding answers, sponsors were pulling their support, and Brooks Enterprises had issued a formal statement denying any relation to Olivia Brooks. She was being erased. Piece by piece, lie by lie. At first, Olivia tried denial. This is all a misunderstanding, she told anyone who would listen. My father he didn't want me in the spotlight. He must have told people to cover it up. But no one believed her. Then she tried blaming others. It was all a mistake. I never said I was Charles Brooks' daughter. People just assumed, she cried. And Sophia Carter, she's the one who spread all these rumors. She's jealous of me. I simply smiled whenever my name came up. I didn't need to say a word. The truth was already doing all the work for me. But Olivia's desperation only got worse. One evening, she cornered Andrew Whitmore, the student council president, outside the administration building. You believe me, right? She pleaded, gripping his sleeve. You know me, Andrew. You know I'm not some liar. Andrew yanked his arm free, his expression filled with disgust. I vouched for you, Olivia. I trusted you. You made me look like an idiot. But you stole from this university. His voice was sharp. You scammed the student council. And worst of all, you used people. We're done here. He walked away without looking back. And that's when I knew. Olivia Brooks had officially lost everything. For the next few weeks, I watched from a distance as Olivia's world crumbled. She stopped attending classes. Her former admirers refused to meet her gaze. The girls who once fawned over her designer clothes now mocked her behind her back. Even her carefully curated social media presence began to unravel. Comments flooded her posts. Where's your rich daddy now? So how much of this was actually real? She probably bought her followers the same way she bought her fake designer bags. One by one, she deleted everything. By the end of the month, the girl who had once dominated every conversation on campus had disappeared. And I simply continued living my life. No theatrics, no dramatic speeches, no need for a victory lap. Because in the end, the best revenge isn't ruining someone, it's watching them ruin themselves. The problem with living a lie is that eventually, the bill comes due. For Olivia Brooks, that moment had arrived. Her glamorous life, The luxury outfits, the high-end parties, the private club memberships had all been built on smoke and stolen credit, and now she had to pay for it. It started with phone calls, unknown numbers flashing on her screen, persistent voicemails demanding payment. At first, Olivia ignored them. Then came the emails. Then the official letters. And finally, one morning, as she stepped outside her dorm building, 2 men in dark suits were waiting for her. "Miss Brooks?" one of them asked. Her breath hitched. "Yes?" The man handed her a legal notice. "You're being served. Multiple unpaid accounts. If you don't settle them, the next step is legal action." Her stomach dropped. Olivia had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars maintaining her fake heiress image, custom dresses, high-end jewelry, extravagant parties. She had charged it all to cards that were now maxed out and overdue. And with her reputation destroyed, there was no one left willing to bail her out. She was drowning. Desperate, Olivia did the one thing she swore she would never do. She went home, not to a penthouse, not to a mansion, but to a small 2-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood outside the city. Her real home. She knocked on the door, her designer heels sinking slightly into the cracked pavement of the driveway. Her mother answered. The moment she saw Olivia standing there, disheveled, desperate, her expression hardened. "You shouldn't have come back." "Mom, please." Olivia tried to step inside, but her mother blocked the doorway. "You lied to us, Olivia. You lied to everyone. You took out loans in our name. Do you have any idea what you've done?" Her father appeared behind her mother, arms crossed. "We're getting calls from collectors, from lawyers. The university is even investigating fraud charges. Dad, I can fix this. I just need—" "No." His voice was sharp, final. "We already paid off some of your debts just to stop them from coming after our house," her mother snapped. "We took everything we had left to cover for you, and you didn't even bother to tell us the truth." Olivia's chest tightened. "I did this for us," she whispered. Her mother laughed bitterly. "No, Olivia, you did this for you." A tense silence hung in the air before her father spoke again. "You need to leave." She felt the finality in his words, the cold, brutal truth. Her family was done with her. She had nowhere left to turn. If Olivia had thought she could at least fade into obscurity, she was wrong. The internet never forgets. By now, her name was everywhere. The campus forums, gossip sites, even social media influencers had picked up her story. Memes were circulating. From heiress to homeless, Olivia Brooks' dramatic fall from grace. When you max out your cards but forget to actually be rich, New York's fakest socialite, where is she now? Everywhere she turned, people whispered, laughed, mocked her. Even her former best friends, the ones who had once idolized her, turned on her. "Olivia, you still owe me money for that Hamptons trip," one girl sneered when they crossed paths on campus. "Oh wait, you don't have money, do you?" "Maybe she can get a real job," another one giggled. "Can you imagine Olivia working retail?" Laughter, humiliation. She wasn't Olivia Brooks, the heiress, anymore. She was just a fraud. A joke, and for the first time she realized she had truly lost everything. By the end of the semester, Olivia Brooks was gone. She withdrew from New York Prestige University quietly. No goodbye parties, no dramatic exits. Just a blank dorm room where the most feared girl on campus had once reigned. No one knew where she went. No one cared. Because in the end, she was never one of us. Olivia Brooks had spent months crafting her perfect illusion. The glamorous heiress, the powerful socialite, the untouchable queen of NYPU. But when a lie unravels, it doesn't just disappear, it spreads. And for Olivia, her past was about to come back with a vengeance. It started with a single video, a blurry clip, shaky hands holding the camera, loud music blasting in the background. But the footage was unmistakable. Olivia Brooks, drunk, arrogant, forcing a guy to kneel and lick her designer shoes. "Come on, it's just a joke." Her slurred voice rang through the speakers. In the video, she laughed as the guy, humiliated, red-faced, reluctantly obeyed, while people around them cheered and filmed. The caption underneath? Karma comes fast. Fake heiress. Olivia exposed. The moment it hit social media, it exploded. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. Wow, this is disgusting. And she thought she could fake being rich? No wonder she's a fraud. What a terrible person. Did anyone check if that guy is okay? She should be sued for this. Screenshots of the video flooded Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. News outlets picked it up. YouTube commentators made entire exposé videos about her. Olivia Brooks wasn't just a liar now. She was a public disgrace. If NYPU had been hesitant about taking action before, now they had no choice. The backlash was too big. The administration called an emergency hearing, with Olivia sitting alone in a cold, empty room, facing a panel of university officials. No friends, no admirers, no lawyers. She was utterly alone. Miss Brooks, the chancellor's voice was sharp. After reviewing evidence of your falsified background, fraudulent sponsorship claims, and the recent scandal involving your past behavior, we have decided, a long pause, that you are permanently expelled from New York Prestige University, effective immediately. It was over. There was no negotiation, no second chance, no appeal. She had lost everything, and the worst part, no one even cared. While Olivia's public reputation had already been shattered, there was still one loose end left to tie up: her future. Even after everything, there were still desperate, gullible people willing to give her a chance. Wealthy families who believed in redemption arcs, who might take pity on her and help her rebuild. I wasn't going to let that happen. Not after what she had done. So I made sure every elite business circle, every high-profile recruiter, every private investment firm received a simple, discreet email. No threats, no slander, just facts. Records of her expulsion, screenshots of her fraudulent claims, links to the viral video, her name blacklisted from every powerful corporate network in New York. By the time she tried to re-enter high society, every door would already be slammed shut. She wanted to live among the elite. She would never get that chance again. As Olivia faded from the world, I continued living mine. Quiet, powerful, unbothered. My name wasn't trending on social media. My face wasn't in the headlines. Because real power isn't about being seen. It's about being remembered. And Olivia Brooks? She was already forgotten. The world kept moving forward. Classes continued. Exams came and went. Students still partied on the weekends, still gossiped in the hallways, still fought over internships and networking opportunities. New York Prestige University had already forgotten Olivia Brooks, and I had never felt lighter. Without Olivia's never-ending theatrics, I could finally focus on what I came here for: my education, my future, and my own ambitions. While other students spent their nights at parties, I spent mine in the library, breezing through finance case studies and market trend analyses. While they scrambled for connections, I simply made a phone call. My last name alone opened doors. But unlike Olivia, I didn't need to lie about my place in the world. I earned my opportunities, I put in the work, and it paid off. By mid-semester, I had secured an exclusive internship at Carter Global Holdings, my father's company, one of the most powerful investment firms in the country. I wasn't given a corner office or a cushy executive role. I started at the bottom, just like any other intern, analyzing financial reports, assisting with minor client portfolios, sitting in on meetings where real power was being discussed. And unlike Olivia, I didn't need to be the center of attention, because real power moves in silence. Of course, once word got out that I was working at Carter Global, people started crawling back. The same classmates who once idolized Olivia, who had ignored me when she was on top, now suddenly wanted to be friends. "Hey, Sophia, we should totally get coffee sometime. I always knew you were the real deal. Olivia was so fake. I'd love to pick your brain about internships. Maybe put in a good word for me?" Pathetic. I had no interest in their fake apologies, their desperate networking attempts, their sudden admiration, so I did the only thing that truly unsettled social climbers. I ignored them. No anger, No confrontation, just cold, effortless silence. Because nothing scares a desperate person more than realizing they no longer matter to you. While I was moving forward, Olivia Brooks was trying and failing to rebuild her life. No university would accept her, no elite social circle would take her back, no company would hire her, her name was blacklisted, her reputation permanently ruined. The world she had tried to force her way into had shut its doors forever. She tried to act like nothing had changed, showing up in the city as if she still belonged. But people remembered. At restaurants, servers whispered when they saw her name on a reservation. At networking events, people turned away when she tried to join conversations. On social media, her attempts to start over were mocked and ridiculed. Her once loyal followers? They laughed at her now. She had spent so much time pretending to be rich that she had never learned how to survive without money. And now, she was completely alone. I wasn't there to witness it. But I didn't need to be, because karma had already done the work for me. As the semester came to a close, I took one last look at NYPU's campus before heading to my internship. So much had changed, but the biggest change? I didn't care about Olivia Brooks anymore. She was nothing more than a cautionary tale. And me? I was just getting started. It took years, but everything had fallen into place. The lies had unraveled. The imposter had faded into nothing. And I was exactly where I was meant to be. The New York Prestige University graduation ceremony was held at the Avery Hall Auditorium, an architectural masterpiece that had hosted some of the world's most brilliant minds. Students filled the grand venue, draped in black and gold gowns, their faces lit with excitement. But as I took my seat among the highest-ranking graduates, I felt something deeper than excitement. I felt closure. I had spent my years here excelling in my studies, securing my future, and watching as every single person who had doubted me came to realize the truth. And now, on this final day, I was the one they admired. Not because of my last name, not because of my wealth, but because I had earned it. When my name was called, I rose from my seat, walked across the grand stage, and accepted my diploma with honors. The applause was polite, respectful, formal, and then the doors at the back of the auditorium opened. James Carter, CEO of Carter Global Holdings, walked in, dressed in a tailored three-piece suit, exuding the kind of presence that commanded every room he entered. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Is that James Carter? Sophia Carter's father? The billionaire? Wait, does that mean she's... He walked past the faculty, past the university board members, and straight towards me. Then, in front of thousands of students, professors, and alumni, he shook my hand and said one thing. I'm proud of you, Sophia. The applause erupted. By the time the ceremony ended, the truth had spread like wildfire. The real heiress had been in front of them all along. And the fake? The name Olivia Brooks had become nothing more than a bitter afterthought. There were rumors, of course. Some said she had fled the country. Others claimed she had changed her name, trying to escape the humiliation. A few even whispered that she was waiting for a comeback. But deep down, everyone knew the truth. There was no comeback. Not for her. Not in this world. As I stood outside, watching the sun set over the skyline of New York, I let myself reflect on everything that had happened. I had learned an important lesson. True power isn't about money. It's not about flaunting wealth or forcing people to kneel. It's not about fake followers, empty status, or desperate deception. Real power is silent. It's built on intelligence, integrity, and authenticity. And for those who don't understand that, they always fall. I smiled to myself, taking in the city that had once been my battlefield. This was just the beginning. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss any future content.